And there's so many people who have misconceptions about living with an ostomy. So Lois, you were diagnosed when you were fairly young. You had your ostomy surgery. Just thinking back to that time, what are 3 misconceptions that you think people have about ostomy surgery, and how would you respond to them about that?
Okay. For me personally, I was worried, would I like myself? Who would I be? Would I like this person after this surgery? I also thought everybody would know. And they would be thinking, oh, poor dear, she has the bag. And I just didn't know how I would function in life. And today I realize I'm the same person, except that I'm healthy. I like myself. I didn't like what Crohn's disease was doing to my body, and therefore I didn't really like myself. I was ashamed. I thought, especially because of the bowel incontinence, that if you knew my secret, you couldn't possibly like me, because I didn't like me. And after my ostomy surgery, I was healthy, I was me, and I also wondered, would I be able to do anything? Would I just be sort of on the sidelines of life? And I realized I had all of this energy. I was not sick. My body was not being burdened with a colon that I'm sure had claw marks attached to it because I didn't want to let it go. And yet I had all of this energy once I said, okay, I'm ready to get over it. So those were the misconceptions that I had about ostomy surgery.
So Ryan, you as well were fairly young when you had your surgery. What 3 things would you wish you had known before you had your surgery?
I think just knowing that the quality of life was the biggest factor. Knowing that so much of my time was also just like spent in a bathroom or in doctor's offices or sick and missing out on some fun activities along the way. Knowing that, it wasn't the end all be all, having the surgery would be a very, very positive thing for me, was, I guess, one misconception or thing that I couldn't have had it sooner. I didn't know about it until, it was time to have the surgery or too late. But I definitely am pretty proactive in the community about talking with patients or peers that, may be facing surgery and kind of talking to them about, how it's affected my life. Obviously, for all of us and every single person, that's a decision that they have to come to, on their own terms and their own way. But the more we can kind of educate, and I can educate people that, I'm here, I'm healthier than ever and more active, and it is a blessing in disguise that you can finally be, or for me at least, be, finally who I wanted to be and able to be active and, yeah.
Chris, having had your ostomy a little later in life rather than at 18 years old, what was probably the biggest obstacle you had to overcome?
I think trying to understand what you can and can't do, and I think for me, initially I assumed the list of the things you can't do was probably pretty long. At the time, part of my job was I had responsibilities for some operations outside the U.S., and so thinking of getting on a plane and going to Shanghai with an ostomy, I thought, well, that's done. I won't be able to do that. A lot of the physical things that I like to do. So it took a little while to kind of understand that those things are possible. You have to be thoughtful about it. There's a lot of kind of planning that has to go into it, and you have to think about a lot of things that you don't that I didn't have to before. Even just leaving the house for the day, do you have supplies with you? Are you prepared for sort of any eventuality? But once I worked through that, then I realized it's it's a little bit different. But the list of things I could still do was was essentially all the things I could do before. It just took a while to get to that point.
Right. I love how you say you just need to think about it, but it sure hasn't stopped you. And running an Ironman triathlon, obviously having an ostomy hasn't stopped you from doing anything.